There are other different types of dementia, and depending upon where the difficulties lie, that in the illness determines the course of treatment.
Yes, you can. All you have to do is want to do it.
Yes.
Want to be it.
When you set your mind to it, and this is who you are, and
the grown men. We have the youth that we need to mentor, and we need to inspire, and we need to motivate. But I know, as a recent conversation between you and I, that you're also in the business of motivating grown men. I'm supposed to see God in it at every turn. So me going to the Sea of Galilee was to remind me of that, to refresh myself of that. It is all under control, that He does have it. It's just as clear as that fresh water that I saw.
Your Our Unity, hosted by LeShawn Walker, Tuesday nights, 6 p.m. PST.
Welcome, everyone, to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to walk in your dreams. We want you to abate fear and just walk proudly in faith that you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to. It is time for us to live in our vision. Everything that you've dreamed of, everything that you've envisioned your life to be, all those things that you want and you deserve, it's time for you to go out there and get it. You are still here. So take the time to go and chase them. And I mean, chase them passionately. I am your host, LeShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. As I say every week, please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now at Strong Island Studios. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. I mean, it appears everyone, everywhere, is experiencing some type of weather issue. I blew in here like I'm Dorothy because the wind is ferocious outside right now. The snow is coming down and we have a nor'easter looming somewhere. So I hope that all of you guys, no matter where you are in the world, are safe, that you're dry, that you're warm, that you are with the people that you love. So we are still celebrating Women's History Month. It is still March, my friends, and thank God, hold on to it as much as you can. These months, these days, these weeks, and the fact that we just gained an hour, lost an hour, means that things are moving kind of rapidly. So I want you out there taking advantage of all the beauty outside, all of the wonderful things that you can accomplish, you can learn, you can treat yourself to. So I've been celebrating Women's Month and basically celebrating the women in my life, also giving reverence and honor to those before me, but more importantly, giving the roses to the women in my life now. If I haven't reached out to you yet, don't worry about it. It's still March. But the fact is that I decided that it was time for me to celebrate myself now. I've been on this journey of entrepreneurship and uncovering the best of myself for a while now. And I'm always inspired by the many women in my life. But recently, as I was, sort of reflecting on my life and my path and the fact that I'm finally living this dream, I'm sharing my love with the world by creating Your Our Unity and hoping that all of you will come with me on this journey to not only discover the best of yourself, but to share it with the world. So, not to disappoint, every weekend I'm trying to do something. So I was literally this weekend among the youth again. When I was thinking about celebrating all that I've accomplished in the past few years, I was also kind of reflecting on my childhood and who I thought I was then and who did I want to be. I was always in front of the mirror, I had a microphone, I was a singer, I was a dancer, I was an actress, I was all these amazing things. And life happens, you take a different path, you get, turned around a little bit, sort of get distracted. But I realize no matter what age you are, it is never too late for you to accomplish your dreams. And that's what I'm doing right now. And being a youth and feeling that, I'm hoping that I knew that even then. I happened to be among a group of youth this weekend that truly struck me. Passionately, due to my heart, they struck me because I saw hope in these kids' eyes. I saw a future. I saw them envisioning their dreams and making them a reality. I was at an event this weekend that I want to share with you guys. So, this week in Unity in the Community, I want to talk about a musical that Elmont High School put on. It was awesome. It was The Descendants, which is a film that is adapted from a Disney movie. Now, it's these kids who are imprisoned on the Isle of the Lost, the home of the most infamous villains who ever lived. The teenage children who I have photos of were of Maleficent, the evil queen, Jafar, and Cruella de Vil, who have never ventured off the island until now. When the four troublemakers are sent to attend prep school alongside the children of beloved Disney heroes, they have a difficult choice to make, and thinking should they follow in their parents' footsteps, their wicked footsteps, or learn to be good. This musical was put on by a bunch of teenagers. And I thought that it was the most professional, most well-designed, well-acted and sang. I mean, these teenagers sang their heart out. They performed like they were on Broadway. I was in awe. It was a phenomenal event. I went with the Girl Scouts, my friend Celine there and her mom Savitri and Vernell. And basically we sat in the audience and my mouth was just in awe of all of the talent that I saw on that stage. The singing, the dancing, the acting, the emoting, to me, just remembering every single line. And everyone was committed to the role that they were given. And when I tell you, I was so impressed. I really was. And the fact that I know that these kids, a lot of them that were in this musical, probably have hopes and dreams of being an actress or a singer, a performer, an entertainer. I know these kids have excellent grades. They come from a really good school. Mr. D is doing a great job with everyone. But again, for everyone in that audience to experience what we did in that moment, which was a community coming together to actually highlight, celebrate, and enjoy performances from teenagers in their community was just spectacular. So yeah, it was just a really great event. I'm looking forward to more. I'm actually excited. I think I got to watch the movie now because I actually didn't. But the fact is that they really put their heart into it. And I know that they're going to be doing great things in the future. And so in that moment, I said to myself, I know that these kids are going to be amazing. They're going to be greatness. And so the thought and the feeling is for us to always live in our vision, for us to just chase down our dreams. I wanted to talk to you today about a woman that is doing just that. It is Women's Month, and in honor of that, I would like to highlight her this evening. So we'll be talking to Aisha Babilonia. She is born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And the title of the show is Living the Vision. She's born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, to immigrant Hispanic parents. She is a graduate of both Empire State University and Rutgers School of Nursing, currently working as a compliance and risk manager. While being no stranger to struggle, Aisha is best known for taking a vision while serving years in federal prison and making it into and bringing it in to her life. Her grit, tenacity, hard work, and perseverance to walk in her purpose inspired her to found Habakkuk's Vision Charitable Ministries, which she provides formerly incarcerated victims of domestic violence and other underserved populations with the resources needed to survive, giving a resting place of hope support, and cultivation for them. Through the programs, advocacy, and supportive services, they strive to inspire the community members to sense a feeling of belonging, worthiness, and ability to make a significant contribution to the world. Aisha is also the newly appointed chair of the Essex County Street Outreach Committee, working to increase street outreach to provide the homeless with the necessary support and information they need. Aisha has become one of the most successful overcomers, philanthropists, leaders, and prominent Afro-Latinas, providing valuable outreach services in her community. She is living in her vision. Please help me welcome the beautiful Aisha Babilonia. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Excellent. Thank you. It has been.
I'm in awe of production. No one has ever introduced me the way you have. Thank you.
Oh, girl, this is you. This is you on paper. I am just reading it. I'm saying everything that is here, it is exactly who you are. So I appreciate you being here. I really do.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, not a problem. So again, as I mentioned in this bio, you have been through some stuff, but you are living your dreams right now and you're helping others, which I think is so important and so inspirational. But first, I want to kind of delve into your background. Can you tell us a little about your upbringing and where you're from, how how it was being raised by immigrant parents in Brooklyn?
Well, my story is pretty interesting. I was conceived in the Republic of Panama. My mom carried me when she was 8.5 months, very close to delivery. She carried me in her stomach. Her and my dad, they came over as immigrants, so that it was about back then a 10-day trip, right? By sea, by plane, by bus, and walking through a road. When they got to the United States, it had been the year 1976, the year of one of the biggest snowstorms. Wow. And on here about 3 days later. So, I was privileged, to be born here. And I thank my mom daily for the sacrifices that she made just so I can be born here, because I see the disparities in the treatment of those who are born, immigrants, and the struggles that they go through. With that being said, my whole life I would travel back and forth between Panama to visit my parents, to visit my family. So I speak Spanish fluently, although I am American, born County Hospital, raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, wow.
On both sides or of Colombian descent. So I was in Colombia also to visit them. My journey has been a very interesting one. I always knew that I wanted to be a nurse. However, I didn't fall or go into the nursing path until 2011.
Right.
So I was working at Verizon and I did an early retirement. I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. This is not where I want to be. So I left and I said, I'm going to submit applications for nursing school. And I prayed and I'm like, God, if this is, my calling, this is my path, then you'll give me 3 acceptance letters. Think that God is this genie in a bottle that we could just rub on. Like, this is what I want. And this is exactly how I'm going to get it.
Right.
So fast forward, because that's my premature thinking, right? So that's what I did. So I applied for 3 nursing schools, and lo and behold, I got accepted into each and every one of them.
Wow.
Right. And so what happened was I had took the one who had an accelerated nursing path. That was Rutgers University, UMD&J School of Nursing.
Right.
I graduated, became a registered nurse, was leading 2 clinics in Harlem. After that, my life took a total, complete change. One day,
wait, let me ask you, what made you go into nursing? Because if I read in the beginning, you went to Empire State for like a business or type of degree. Really? So what sparked that desire to be a nurse? Because
well, to be honest, So in full transparency, I did the business degree and all other degrees. I have other degrees prior to that, but not to give Verizon any free promotion, but it is what it is.
Right.
At that working for Verizon, and they had the best tuition reimbursement. So I was
Ah,
everything for
yeah.
free.
Okay.
So I am one of those Verizon dinosaurs that benefited from the tuition reimbursement. Don't have to pay back student loans.
But that's great, though. You took advantage of that. You got a bachelor's degree. So I'm saying, and all free of charge. And you did your time free of charge. Really, you put in the time at the job. So that is a blessing. Go ahead. All right. So that's why it really wasn't what you wanted to do. You just took advantage of the opportunity because it was presented. And it obviously gave you the desire to pursue more education. So that's how nursing came into play.
Right. Well, back came into place because nursing that I always wanted to do. That has passion. I always said, I want to do nursing. I always had a zeal to help people, to care for people.
Right.
I just said, let me just start walking into what my purpose is. And I took it as a sign when I said, okay, I'm going to apply for 3 schools. If I get acceptance letters, and that means that's it. I'm a very God-fearing woman. So when I say 3, I'm thinking Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Trinity, 3 in 1. So you couldn't tell me that wasn't a sign. Graduated, it was an accelerated nursing program. So what that means is 4 years of schooling is crammed into 18 months. So I had to quit my job. I had no social life. I went to school full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I managed it, but it was tough. It was tough because during that time I was also going through a very rough part of my time where I was in a domestically abusive relationship, right? And it was to the point where I became a functional, as that's what they will call it clinically, like a functional abused woman.
Wow.
So go through whatever I have to go through, shake it off, go to school, exam. No one would ever know the things that I endured.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Through the challenges and through all of that, how are you able to maintain? I mean, because I know you still graduated, you had no issues, you pursued these things while still going through these problems in your relationship and being, a woman of domestic violence.
Yeah. Well, to begin with, I have a really strong relationship with God. I always have. And I also think that He gave me a certain amount of resilience and strength. I don't think that was His will, because I don't think it's as strong as God may make us as women, even males. I don't think it's His will for anyone to endure abuse or any of inflicted pain. But being in love, being young, thinking that I can change the person, or if I pray hard and long enough that person will just change.
Right.
Lo and behold, that wasn't the case. So graduated, succeeded, became a nurse manager overseeing 2 clinics, and then changed, and I was incarcerated, and I did 5 years in federal prison.
Wow.
Yeah, which started a 40-year to life sentence. 40 to life boiled down to 5 years.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So this you going to prison, was it you saving your life? The reason why you ended up in federal prison for that amount of time?
Well, no. No. So my case started out as a domestic violence case. And I'm fully transparent. When I was incarcerated, I was facing 10 counts.
Wow.
And one of the counts included attempted murder for hire. I was being accused of plotting to cause harm, inflict harm on my then ex-abuser. So one of the 10 charges, that was my original charge, which I faced a maximum 40 years to life.
Wow.
Right. And, I wouldn't bend. I fought it to the very end. 2 weeks before my trial, both my attorneys came to see me, and they said, you're going to seem that sounds ridiculous, but the prosecutors, they want to drop on all of your charges.
Thank you, God. That's right, because you were faithful. And like you said, your center is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So you knew that you were going to be okay. How did you feel when you were going through that? I mean, I know it must have been a shock. I mean, especially after everything that you had to endure. The victim turned into this suspect, so to speak. So how did you feel? How did you get through that? I know it was God. Trust me, I know. But in that moment, when you're a woman, when you're a carnal person, when you're a human being just trying to survive on this earth, how did it feel? How did you get through it?
So initially, I was shocked, right? And I remember the day of my arraignment as if it was yesterday. I remember standing before the judge and him saying 40 years to life, and I didn't flinch. Whereas, you have this woman, a professional woman, a graduate with multiple degrees, career, an asset to the community.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking back now, any other woman in my position would have probably just crashed at that moment. But I do feel like I was in a state of shock. I was stoic. The whole while I'm like, is this a dream? This can't be right. Like, what is really going on? Because when you first get arraigned, you don't really know what is really going on.
Right.
You do know you are named in a part, as a part of a conspiracy, depending on what the crime is. This is what you're being charged.
Right.
But the whole of that innocent until proven guilty, that is absolutely false. I was denied bail 3 times. I was placed as a flight risk. I was labeled as a danger to the society, to the community. At
Oh.
my last bail hearing, the judge said, and I quote, "If Miss Babilonia is granted bail because of her family connections, that she will find a sophisticated way to leave and exit the country."
Oh my God. They made you sound like some mob boss.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's what it sounds like. And
Right.
that they needed to restrict you from having any type of access to freedom. And again, you were just numb. You were just obviously just going through the motions at that time, correct?
That's correct.
Right. Yeah.
Remember, also keep in mind that I've never had any of type of charges. This is my first time ever being incarcerated, especially to this magnitude. So I do feel like it was harsh.
Yeah.
It was harsh, and that's why when I hear innocent until proven guilty, no, because that wasn't me.
Right.
When I was guilty, guilty, and guilty,
Wow.
right? And
Right.
I had to fight my case while being behind federal prison doors. I fought and up until 2 weeks before my trial, and then I get this news and I'm like, okay, well, why do they want to drop these charges all of a sudden to one charge, which was a conspiracy count?
Right.
On a conspiracy count, you automatically serve a mandatory of 5 years. However, based on guidelines, my range was either 2 to 3 years. So the expectation was, being that I've been fighting during pre-trial, the expectation was, okay, accept the deal. By the time you go to get sentenced, you'll have time served, you go home.
Right.
Now, sentenced me to the statutory maximum, which was 5 years federal prison and then 3 years probation.
Oh my God, girl. So you're in there. You now know this is my sentence. This is my life for the next really 5 to 8 years. What was on your mind while you were in prison? Because I know that wasn't your dream. I mean, you wanted to be a nurse. You wanted to save and help people. So in now those confined walls, that jail, what was your vision? What was your dreams? What was going through your head?
So the first thing, what am I going to do next, right? Because here I am, I was a professional woman. I had to gain a professional license. I was at surrender my license, which I did. So I was wondering, okay, so what is it? What's next for me? What's next for me? And then I got to the point where a certain peace just came over me, and I really heard God speak in an audible voice, and just say, just rest. Just rest and be still. And looking back on it now, and it's definitely not to glorify a person or whatever, but prior to my incarceration, I was pretty much like the pillar that held everything together, that held every bridge up.
Right.
So that's what I did do. For me to sit here and say, oh, well, I read 1,000 books and no. The book that I did read from back to front, upside, downside, in different
inside and outside
was my Bible and my med surge books, to keep clinically adaptive, to keep me clinically, engaged and just like so those were the only 2 books that I read. I stayed very close in the chapel. I actually was asked to work for the warden, which is probably like a privileged job. It's like one of the best jobs when you're incarcerated, but still, the pay is still 12 cents an hour.
At least it's something, and you're using your skills to some capacity. You're just not sitting there passing the time away. So that was a sort of an honor in a way. Did you take advantage of it? Did you work for the work with? You did?
Yeah, I did. I did. I worked in the warden's office. In addition, from that, I provided GED training. So I was able, and I helped a lot of women pass their GED and get their GED while incarcerated.
Wow. Oh my God. So you was productive while you were in there, helping others as well in the midst of everything that you were going through. You wasn't bitter. You weren't angry. Did you ever go through moments of that, dealing with so much and having no control?
So I did. So I felt like slight, felt hurt. And I'm like, wow, here it is that for all of these years that I was living in my abuse and being abused, the umpteen police reports, the charges, the order of protections, everything that I had filed, all of it was used against me to name me as a suspect, right? Whereas, and I'm just like, yeah, I did feel hurt. I felt that the system wasn't for me. I think that the system used everything that I try to do to get out of my situation against me. I was determined. I said, I'm going to fight the good fight. There was no way on earth that I will ever plead guilty to this charge. There was no way. In life, I realized that there's some things that that you do, and you have to, how they say, charge it back to the game. And I prayed, LeShawn, and I remember specifically one of my prayers was, Lord, you know me, you know my heart, and you know what I have done. If it's for me to be here for such a time as this, let it be for what you know that I have done, right? Not for what they have placed in writing. Because it's so hard when the government puts something in black and white and they put something on record for it to be erased, because everyone will remember what's on that.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is why it's so hard for those who are leaving and exiting the prison system to be able to start a new life, right? Because you have that blemish.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Something that, God has already forgiven us for. It's like a permanent stain, and we're nailed to that cross and not getting off that cross.
Yeah.
So say I'm not giving the credit. I did. I had great lawyers. I had two attorneys at that, but I wouldn't give them the credit because I feel like what happened to me was nothing short of a miracle. It was literally 2 weeks before my trial.
Yes, girl.
And charges dropped. I didn't do any proffer. I never spoke to the prosecutor. When you have to speak against someone, like testify. Didn't do none of that. I said, I'm gonna really take this. I'm taking it all the way. And today, as one who I've been through a lot. However, I'm not gonna allow that to keep me in that victim mentality, right? Although, when I've spoken and you still see people who victim shame, like it's her fault, and why did you stay, and you should have known better, and your bad actions, I just think it's so unfair.
It is. It really is. You can't speak to anything until you walk in my shoes, and that's the bottom line. Everyone experiences and handles things differently, and we are allowed to do that. That, that experience to me has birthed this person that is in front of us today that may not have left the nursing field and built this amazing organization that helps so many. You may not be able to speak to those people that understand where you've come from and still how you don't allow those circumstances to dictate who you become in your future. So again, I don't want to give credit to anyone other than God, but those things to me just played out and needed to happen the way they did to make others believe and to see your testimony for what it is. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you're now knowing that you're going home. You said that there was a sense of peace that fell over you. When did that fall over you? Was it before you actually received, that your charges had been dropped or reduced? Did you receive this peace before that you knew that regardless of what's going on right now, I know I'm going to be okay and it's going to happen soon? He told me to rest.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was even before my charges had gotten dropped.
Wow.
It was having my mom come see me, and every time she would see me, she was like, "Oh, you look so good. Here is you look like Aisha, although you're in those khakis and you're in that, you look like Aisha." And I'm like, "Ma, I don't know why, but I don't feel afraid. I don't feel afraid. I'm not anxious." One of my anxious thoughts was leaving my family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the calm came when my mom came to see me, and she said, "We are okay.
Yes.
We are fine." And, I was blessed because at the same time, I was still able to be there for my family,
Mm-hmm.
despite of the confines of being in prison.
Right.
And just that they were okay, that made me sleep good at night.
Nice.
Just knowing that I did the right thing, that made me sleep good at night. My faith in God, being cling to like-minded women,
Mm-hmm.
while said, I had a group of other believers that we will lift each other up. We will recite promises. We will lean on those promises. We prayed, we fast, we fellowship.
Yeah.
And for me, it was in prison that I realized the importance of fellowship, community, and also serving. I remember this African woman, she worked in a church, right? And we were talking about mopping and things like that. And one day she asked me to come help her. So I'm mopping the floors, and she was like, "You are not doing it right. You did it." And I'm like, "Okay, like just the floor, we're just mopping." She said, "No. Listen, you are serving. And when you serve, I don't care if it's cleaning the toilet or scrubbing the floors, you are going to do it and you're going to be the best at whatever it is that you do."
Wow.
Yes. And that just really stuck in my head because it's a selfless act to serve, right? But when we serve, you have to look at it like you are serving other people, but think about how you will want to be served.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think that prison did give me a sense of humility, right? Servitude, definitely peace,
Wow.
and just eyes to that were open to see that there are other things that you can do. And the last thing I want to share is a sermon that I had heard.
Okay. What is it?
So it was a sermon I heard from the chaplain. And he said, I know a lot of you are in here talking about what you had. And, when you come home, what you're going to fight for, what you had, this and that and the other. And he's like, I want you to say this one prayer and just say, "Lord, allow me to use what's left in my hands." LeShawn, I said that every day until I came home. Allow me to use what's in my hands. Allow me to use what's in my hands. Wow. To my release. So my release, I was sent to a halfway house, and a halfway house mandate you to have a job. So meanwhile, I could have took the shortcut and worked for a friend or anyone. I said, I'm gonna get me a job. Couldn't find a job now. Federal probation. I have a felony. Trying to see the process of getting my nursing license back. That's a whole nother story.
I know. I could imagine.
this, you got to do that. So I said, I'm going to get a job at Amazon. While I'm working at Amazon, I'm packing boxes. This is one day that I was working there. And that was the day after Thanksgiving. This was 3 of my release.
Right.
And first job. And the man came up to me. He was like, oh, your time is too slow. You're not packing fast enough. I said, no, I looked at him. Because in my head, I was still...
Yes, I'm doing my job. I didn't know we was on a time. Oh, my God.
Oh, God. Right? So I'm like,
Oh, my goodness. Like, I don't need this in the first place, buddy. I got a nurse. I get it. Yes, I get it. Yep.
But at that point, I just sat quiet and I heard a voice in my head said, do you not trust me?
Yeah.
Do you not trust me? I kindly packed that last box, went to the front desk, and off my ID, and I was like,
I'm done.
I'm done.
Wow.
I left. That was the day, Black Friday. I called on Monday from the executive director and the CEO of the organization where I was a nurse.
Right.
Right. Now, this is the same job. Then the day that I had got indicted, I ended up closing both clinics, leaping out, telling everybody goodbye. They never saw me again until I wrote a letter and I told them what happened.
Right.
And I judge a letter. Anyway, so, hi, is this Aisha? I said, yeah. Oh, we just found out from one of the nurses that you're back or whatever. Do you want your job back as a nurse? I said, what?
What? It was that simple? Girl.
It was that simple because I couldn't do it. So you cannot work clinically unlicensed. Although
I see. They can offer you the job, but you still have to go through the process to get all your certification things. I get it. So go ahead.
So the CEO said, you need to come in. So I came in, so we talked and, they went over everything. They, luckily one of the CEOs happened to be an attorney. She read over my case and said, although you cannot practice and do clinical duties, you still have something left. I said, what? She said, you still have your degree and that education, and they can't take that away from you.
That's right.
And, instantly came to my mind, what's left in my hands.
Yep. What's left in your hands.
Yes. And you know what, God? You something else. He's the best strategic partner.
You ain't kidding, my friend. What was left in your hands? So that's what we want to talk about, because that had to be the moment that you realized that, I'm going to forge my own path, fulfilling the purpose that he already instilled in me. And you figured it out at that moment. So is that how Habakkuk's vision ministry, outreach ministry started?
No.
Or the thought of it, rather?
The thought of it, but honestly, that's how I was able to financially support the beginning of Habakkuk's Vision Charitable Ministries. They hired me as a consultant. And then when I realized, you can consult and make really good money, they put me in charge of a lot of things from governance. It was a nonprofit organization. Right. It is a nonprofit organization that does great work for the underserved community members,
right?
In particularly the Harlem area. And while I'm there, I remembered, and even while I was incarcerated, I was looking up nonprofits, and I said I wanted to start my own nonprofit because where I was, it was in West Virginia, right? Like the only prison for you to, if you lived in DC, that's the only place that you can go, because DC didn't have any prisons and jails. So they had to go into the federal prison. And just hearing stories of the women, a lot of them were without education. A lot of them went through a lot of abuse. They had a lot of mitigating circumstances that led them to be where they were.
Right.
So while I was in there, I started thinking about nonprofits and, I wanted to start my own nonprofit. But, when you come home, you're thinking about, where am I going to sleep tonight? Where am I going to eat?
Survival. Yes.
So the thought absolutely came out of my head. But then when I got called back to work for that organization, it clicked. And it was a reminder, and it hit me that this is where you need to be right now,
Yeah.
to where God is really calling you to
Yeah.
be.
I
Um,
love it. I love it. Oh my God. So when you finally decided that, you needed to help those that had experienced and are experiencing and probably will experience some of the, problems that you did when you were incarcerated, is that what made you build this organization? The fact that you was remembering everything that you went through, how unfair it was, and I need to know where you even came up with the name Habakkuk's Vision, Vision Outreach Ministry. So
yeah.
tell me about that, how it came about, and also, was it because of what you experienced and you wanted to help these women that were dealing with and will probably deal with the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Habakkuk's Vision Charitable Ministries, the name was birthed from a scripture that I had read. It was Habakkuk's chapter 2, where it talked about writing the vision and making it plain and
Mm-hmm.
putting it so everyone can see, and that it may take a while, but the vision will surely come to pass.
Yep. Yep. You're absolutely right. She got cut out real quick. It was just getting good, folks. She is coming back, but she is going to talk about how our friend Aisha, how she came up with there she
Oh,
is. Oh my God, we are back and continue. Habakkuk's Vision. You said you came up with it because of scripture. Continue.
right. So it was Habakkuk's chapter 2, and it talked about writing the vision, making it plain. Although it may tarry, wait for it because it surely will come to pass. And that's exactly what happened. I had the name, I had registered, and I'm just sitting here. I'm like, okay, what do I do next?
Right.
And I'm in the halfway house, and the halfway house, it was a federal halfway house. So
Mm-hmm.
they were supposed to provide things like programming, right? Workforce development, readiness, anything that we needed to help us re-enter. They were supposed to aid us and guide us to do that. Well, guess what? There was no one that did training and development. There was no one that provided on-site counseling. None of those resources that they said that they were supposed to have. And mind you, these are companies that are getting federal dollars to do the
Yes.
work.
And
So,
fun.
right. So why not use Miss Babilonia, right, to train everyone there? So I ended up being the trainer. I would come home from come into the halfway house from my 9 to 5, and I would end up in the lab giving a training course, helping women build resumes. We would do mock interviews. I was helping them build business plans. When they were told, oh, they can't get an LLC, doing the research, was like, no, you can have your own business. Who
Yes.
that,
Yes.
so all of those things. And, as I was, every day I would just, leave to go to work, come back, and I would still see some women sitting there. And I'm like, why are you guys still here? Well, they won't let me leave until I have a job and until I have a place to stay. How are
Oh,
you going to?
goodness. Exactly. They setting them up to fail.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the longer they stay there, you know what that is, right?
Oh, yes. Dollars, yes, and cents for them to be housed there, but not giving them the tools and the resources they need to actually create their own life and thrive. Oh my goodness. So you saw the disparity there
Yeah,
and you decided to fill that void, correct?
exactly. So that's why I said this is going to be the birth of Habakkuk's Business Charitable Ministry. So what we do is, and right now we're actually starting to work from the inside out to
Right.
women being released from serving time for their release, right? And this can
Right.
also be pre-release planning where we have opportunities now. Now we have partnerships where we can go into prisons in New Jersey to do case management. If they don't have driver's license and birth certificates, we can work with them from in the inside to gather this information, get those things that they need so when
Right.
they'll have an easier transition. Like I said, the first things you're going to be thinking about is how do I reconnect with my family?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can't reconnect with my family if I ain't got no money or a job. I can't feed
Yep.
my kids,
Yep.
right? Where am I going to stay. So housing, you got to think about housing, right? You have to think about employment, where employment is scarce and you have a skill and you have a trade, right? It makes you a little bit more marketable, but you have people re-entering that don't have these things. All they know is a street life. So it is our goal to show them that there are other things that you can do. You know, you do have a skill. I think everyone was born with a certain gift and talent, right? So it's just finding whatever that talent is, pulling it out of them and helping them. Everyone needs a push, and that's what we're here to do.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I think we have a few pictures of the things that you guys do in the community. I understand your outreach program. You are helping not only just women who are formerly incarcerated, you also are helping the people in your community who are homeless. You're cooking meals for them. You're, telling them and giving them the resources to find shelter. Tell us a little about what you guys have to actually do in your outreach.
Sure. So when we do outreach, we have a mobile readiness bus that we will rent from time to time. We equip that bus with computers, laptops, and business professionals where we will go on the streets of Essex County, pull people off the streets. Because guess what? We realized that this was a need when the pandemic shut everything down. So, as opposed to people having a place to go, sometimes you have to meet people where they are. So that's what we said. Hey, we're going to equip this bus and we're going to meet people where they are. We will be in front of clubs. We'll be in front of grocery stores,
Wow.
Yeah, we will take the party bus into the hood and people were able to just jump on board. Oh, I'm looking for a job. I just came home, or I need help with a resume. I never had a resume. We created, I think during the pandemic, we did over 300 resumes. Women were able to secure jobs. We also have partnerships with certain employers that are willing to hire men and women that have been formerly incarcerated. We provide food for shelters where we come in and we are allowed to cook. So to prepare hot meals, that's a big one for me, because while it is good to give people resources from a pantry, like things that they can cook, some people don't even have a kitchen, right? Have hot plates. How much do you really prepare on a hot plate, right? And our goal is to expand into our own development where we can have a state-of-the-art kitchen where we can teach people and have culinary professionals come in. All I think about is when I was in prison, how many beauticians we had in there that were unlicensed.
Exactly. I know.
We got creative. I was talking to my sister-in-law the other day, and she said, you're gonna eat that hot dog that was in that oil that was fried with chicken. I said, girl, I use chicken fajitas with an iron.
Oh God, you
listen with an iron, okay?
Oh God,
that you iron clothes. Listen, we wasn't eating cold food, so we figured it out, right?
Yeah. You made it work. You made it work. And you did not, again, let those circumstances keep you from accomplishing your goal. You wanted a hot dog. You was going to make sure you figured out the way to make that happen. So you built this organization and you are helping so many. I mean, not just reaching out to, these women that so desperately need the services, but, also the underserved in your community. What does it look like in terms of the people that you're reaching? Do you find that these services are really, really beneficial? Is anyone else helping you, to accomplish your mission? What's that like?
Yeah, well, I do have community partners because I am a part of the Essex County Continuum of Care. So we have 240 some of my community partners, right? So for instance, if I have a consumer who may have a housing need, or someone who is fleeing and have to need van services to flee, police escort, or they may need like a temporary shelter, we have partners with safe houses. The safe houses are undisclosed locations. Habakkuk's Vision, we have our own safety exit plan.
Nice.
Which is I can't reveal what that is.
No, that's okay. I get it. I understand. But
And
I love that you guys are so prepared.
yeah, it's literally emergency preparedness for a woman and families who are undergoing abuse. And I had to think of it because I thought about my own, way. Back then, these resources weren't available. There was no strategic plan to
Right.
leave abuse. Like, it was either go to a hotel, go to a family's house. How do I hide? Who's going to pick me up at 1 a.m.? So with the services that we're able to provide now, we have full exit escape plans designed. We provide services to the homeless when we do the street outreach. Not only a hot plate, we're saying, okay, we have a system here. There's a bed here. You could go to this bed for the night or whatever. But then we're also helping people find permanent and stable housing, whether it be filling out a Section 8 application or finding transitional housing for a certain time that's funded, through us or through community partners. I mean, we try to give them something that that they wouldn't have otherwise, right?
Well, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
totally get it. I totally understand.
Very, very important. We try to step outside of the box and actually do more. We want them to be able to get on their own 2 feet and become independent.
Right.
Is also a big one, especially for the formerly incarcerated women who has been impacted by domestic violence. Because in a situation where, I'll use myself as an example, there is certain trauma-informed care and trauma counseling that I believe all women who have been impacted by domestic violence should receive, right? But while incarcerated, this counseling isn't available. It's not even thought of. It's not even thought of, right? So when you come home, are you thinking about it? No, you're not. Because once you think about housing, food,
Basic necessities that you need to survive. And
exactly.
everyone's thinking about that. So you're now offering that. So as the time is winding down, because we are about to end, I want to ask you, I mean, considering that you are providing all of these services to these people in need, what would you suggest? And real quick, if you could just sum it up in 30 seconds or less, what do you suggest we do to kind of help in the fight, to help these people that are, living under these conditions in our own community? And also, what would you like to leave us with in regard to living your vision, which you have done?
To first just have an open mind, right? And practice mercy and compassion, right? Because we don't live in a perfect world. And I wish we lived in a world where, oh yeah, everything is cut and dry, everything is black and white. There are a lot of gray areas. There are a lot of injustices that I've seen, that I've lived through with the prison and the incarceral system, right? So the level of judgment by which men and women are judged that have been impacted by incarceration, it has to come down. You have people who are fighting for their lives for crimes that they really did not commit, right? The opportunities. Think about if that incarcerated person worked for 12 cents, but 12 cents on the hour, right? And you reward them with something greater. What makes you think that they are not going to work as if their life depended on it?
That's right.
Think about it. For me, I've worked with men and women that have been formerly incarcerated. And to me, they have been the most hardworking, loyal, consistent, transparent. So, I just want, people to just really think and just consider the lives of, the impact, right? And what they can do in terms of providing the opportunity, just talking, giving a helping hand, just reaching out, even reaching out to your loved ones that are incarcerated. A letter goes a long way. A phone call goes a long way, especially in prisons. We don't even see women who are incarcerated receive visits.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And support. For organizations like Habakkuk's Vision Charitable Ministries in any way that you can. We're always seeking volunteers.
Well, good. We can't ask for donations, but yes, you could please reach out to her. And on that, we're going to end that. So please put up her information, Bobby, please. The beautiful Aisha, thank you so much, my
Thank
friend, for being here. I want everyone to reach out to her. She is a woman that is living her dream right now and helping others in the midst of it. So please reach out to her at hbbkv, I believe.org. We're going to find your information and put it up real quick. There she is receiving her award. I actually wanted to show your video too, but we didn't get into it. You got to come back, Aisha. You know that, right?
I will.
There's so much more to talk about, my friend. We didn't even scratch the surface. But look, thank you so much for being here. We're going to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. Do not go anywhere, okay?
Thank you.
And the Dare to Be You is: vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. And that's what we encourage you to do today. Aisha did not let her circumstances hinder her from pursuing her passion and her purpose, using what was left in her hands, what God gave her. So we want you to go out there and do that this week, tomorrow, next year. Do not wait. Go out there and chase down that dream and live in your vision. I want to thank you so much, Aisha, for being here. I so appreciate you, my friend. I want all of you guys to remember that peace and love is in the palm of your hands. Let's go out there and be some love, share some love, give some love. We will see you next week on Your Our Unity. Please say good night to my amazing friend Aisha and follow her, please. She is doing amazing work in this world. Have a good evening, and I'll see you next week. I love you. Say good night.
Strong Island Entertainment.